had a program that had been running with Glasgow Caledonian in Scotland for Transnet employees. It was a master's course, and that's been one way that literally, raised the bar a little bit, because when we look at the undergrad, rail doesn't get the shine that it should be getting. Yet it is the feeder to the bigger brother, which is shipping, and is a big hinge. Excuse me.
I can tell you're quite busy already getting phone calls on duty.
Apologies.
No problem.
I hope it's off now. But it's a big feeder to shipping, and it is the key or important chain in our economy. So that program went well. We are now in the process of literally speaking to, not literally, but actually speaking to Transnet on setting up a program of our own that has a strong South African and African focus. Second to that, at the lower level, we in the second year have, we split it up. It's urban transport, then there's rail, then in the second semester there's maritime and aviation. So it's sort of like a precursor to the bigger things, and hopefully we can get to a point, and this is what we're working on now, where we have a fully fledged rail-focused program. The other that we're trying to avoid, and is something that has been probably personal as well, we're studying until we are blue in our faces. This degree, that degree. The skill sets are there. People are from all of our SADC regions have the skills, but where do we connect? Where do we, meet each other? SAQA is in the way at times. The education authority in another country is in the way at times. And that's what we're trying to now work past in a standardized way, and I hope that can form part of these discussions so that we can get to work at something that I think is necessary, that being standardization of qualifications. And it need not be the degree, it can be the short certificate in this or that that's recognized by everybody's authority. And we can move as we should as people of this continent. So that's me, sir.
So you already see an opportunity in that. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, what your thinking is in terms of that, because I come from Namibia. I don't know what standards you are talking about, so maybe you want to speak to us a little bit. Is there an opportunity for all of us to be able to standardize as a region?
Absolutely. I think the red tape at times is caused by people. I know there's what do you call it? There's rules. But I live by the saying that says, and please forgive me, it says, I'm going to switch the power off here. Here we go. Rules are meant to be broken. And I'm not saying let's become lawless. I'm saying let's interrogate these rules and see how best we can break them in a way that takes us forward. The red tape is sickening, to say the least. If I take our South African Qualifications Authority, you come from Namibia, good sir, you apply to come work here, your qualification first and foremost gets and has to be looked at. Is it legit? Was it where you say it's from, etc., etc.?
Correct.
But now, here we are talking of a person who is an engineer qualified. There's lots of changes that will have happened now in the tech side, the gentleman that just presented now. Must that person now go and study a degree to be able to know that we just saw? No. And it's that I say we can take what they have. We can put up what we want to put up. I work around something called the DHL Logistics Skills Radar. Please check it out when you get a moment. It speaks to all the skills that are needed to make us all flourish, whichever sector we are in. It has a tech element and business, and then it has a social element on this side. I'm not promoting DHL at all here, but that thing, I took all our South African maritime qualifications, I benchmarked it. We think we are the cat's whiskers, we are not. And so when we think of authorities in each country, we need to get them to the levels where they can see that we can move without all this red tape. So putting something like that in the cloud, now we've breached borders, we've breached and reached people sitting in the most rural of areas that could form part of this.
Yes.
So that's what I'd say on your concern about you coming from NAM, and also how we can get past these rules. Yeah.
Thank you. Chimeta, my brother, wonderful seeing you here. First time you and I came across each other was 3-4 years ago when you were doing your studies as well, and you happened to be focusing on Namibia, at least on one specific area. Now you are this big time person in UK trade, doing all these wonderful things that I heard yesterday about, from your colleague. You are talking about wonderful things, developments that are coming through. Maybe you want to talk to us about that from an overseas point of view.
No, thank you so much, Webster. Really appreciate this opportunity to discuss capacity building and skills development. Just to lean over what Mr. Lunga said, there is a critical need to have portable skills across the region. As you said, we do have common problems, and we need to have structures that allow skills to be standardized as well as portable across the region, and therefore we can deal with any challenges across the region together. But then also under the umbrella of Sara, because most of these common problems do not feed back into advising or guiding and supporting Sara as an organization to be the guiding mind that it should be. So if you have technology that, as was introduced in the main session, and one of the operators is bringing that into play, it's important for Sara as an organization to have and assimilate that technology and develop strategies to spread that technology and that knowledge across the region. So some of the work that we've been doing in the last 2 years with Sara is 2 bits of technical assistance from the FCDO, UK government FCDO. And the first one is about understanding what is interoperability in Southern Africa. And this is in partnership with the University of Pretoria, which Professor Hannes is our lead, our principal investigator for the project. And that is about, when we talk about interoperability in the region, are skills interoperable? And then the governance structures, are they interoperable? Are the operations interoperable? Are the technical aspects interoperable? And so that research, that bit of research is ongoing, and hopefully with the support and engagement of the Sara members, it will come into maturity, and then we can bring that knowledge across the region. The second bit is exactly what we're talking about in terms of skills and employment capacity building. So one of the projects was executed by an organization called Crossrail International, and what they're trying to do is that they were trying to understand what the skills gaps are across the region, and then give a framework to Sara as an organization to say, well, these are the skills gaps, these are the projects that are being done in the region, and we foresee that this is where we need to focus in terms of building that capacity into the Southern African region. And so there is a lot of good work that I believe the UK government is doing in partnership with local institutions to support Sara and Sara members to bring this full scale. Yeah.
Well, this sounds like exciting news for us in the near future. So there is a possibility, as we are seeing, in terms of us working together as rail operators, to be able to also cross that divide that divides us with universities coming out of their shell, as it were, to come to us and be able to talk. Talk to us about a bit of innovation. I think, is there any of you talking about innovation? I think that's one of the things that we're seeing here. Innovation is very, very necessary. Are there any innovative aspects that you're talking about? Maybe, Professor, you can talk to us about your work around that topic.
Yes, no, thank you, Webster. Certainly, a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to build a new building at our campus. It's our 4th engineering building, and it was called Engineering 4.0,
Yes.
specifically because of the innovations taking place in terms of rail digitalization, Engineering 4.0, and sensor development, smart transportation, etc. So we have a big drive currently, and I'm sure it's not just us, it's taking place everywhere, where new technologies are becoming available. Previously, you had access to wonderful technologies and innovations, but at a huge cost. Today, we can buy small sensors in bulk. We can install them everywhere. This morning, we heard about the fiber technologies, and over the years, we've been experimenting with similar smart systems, smart track components, smart ballast, a whole range of new innovations that really offer limitless opportunities in rail. So you can put together really smart systems today that can assist in terms of monitoring with maintenance of track, condition monitoring, etc. And these things are becoming plug and play. In terms of our postgraduate programs, we have a huge emphasis on
Yes.
smart systems, and I think the challenge for us, and I think this is where we need to bridge the gap, is to make sure that what we develop addresses a specific need in rail. So that communication with our partners, with the rail industry, becomes really important to make sure that we focus our efforts and our energy on places where we can make a significant difference. Okay. So, yes, it's wonderful, all the new technologies, but it needs to be focused and addressed at the problems and the challenges of rail. So there's another parallel session going on about vandalism, theft, vandalism detection.
Yes, it's a big issue around the region.
Big issue. So often we're approached by the railways and they would tell us, yes, we can see you doing wonderful research in terms of the technologies, but what are you doing to prevent theft? Those type of things. So we've experimented with things like intelligent concrete that's touch sensitive, with accelerometers built into structures that would detect people tampering with equipment and those type of things. And yeah, there's a lot of possibilities in that field.
Lunga, I saw you smiling there as well. Are you doing some interesting work on innovation? Anything similar in that line?
Yeah, not as snazzy as that, but beautiful, sir. Yeah. Yes, we tinkered a bit with drones and drone technology, which is one thing that when I saw the presentation outside, outside in the other session,
yes,
I saw that response is a big thing to make all of that work. It's something that I took from it, as beautiful as it is, I must say. It's nice to see. So drones is one thing we've been on about. We have a drone program, accredited drone management program, and had a good run with the KZN Department of Transport on that for their staff monitoring. You know, one of the main corridors is the Joburg-Durban line. So to train guys to be able to help monitor that, including their traffic officers on accident investigation and that. We worked with Rectron, they're based here in Midrand. They came and exhibited, and we have a good agreement with them. And then one thing is blockchain. You know, when Mr. Trump wakes up and decides to just do what he wants, how do we navigate those turbulent waters? And so blockchain is one of the things that we've been focusing on. students coming up with snazzy projects, and some have actually even been invited to Russia to represent us and what they came up with. We're trying to bring that into a postgraduate diploma for managers especially, because now issues around currency volatility, issues around newer alternative payment systems get to be overcome by blockchain. And so it's the one thing that's sort of become a flagship for us to say, hey, things are no longer the same. How do we also play a part in doing this and helping managers? Because the coal that gets moved, the whatever commodity that gets moved is still priced in dollars, but yet a lot of countries are now beginning to shift to local currency payments. And so blockchain is one such that is really, really necessary for all of us in our sectors to focus on. So that was what's new from us.
Chimeta, I know you want to weigh in.
Yeah, so behind this UK trade, I'm with the University of Birmingham, specifically the Birmingham Center for Railway Research and Education. And we are one of the world's biggest, largest railway research groups outside of China. Some exciting things that I think I can point to is, firstly, if you Google the Hydroflex train, which is one of the world's first hydrogen-powered trains. Hydroflex.
Okay.
So if you Google that, this is a project that was launched, I think it was 2020. Our university was leading that project. It was, I think, funded by Porterbrook. And this is exciting because this train is still running today. It's going through the test phases and everything. I think it just achieved about 200 kilometers or something of testing or something. And it's a beautiful example of innovation, bringing this innovation to Southern Africa. We are freight heavy.
Exactly.
So what are alternative fuel opportunities for Southern Africa?
Yes.
So I know Namibia is doing something called Hydrail.
Yes.
And so excited to see how that comes together. And I think that's something that we can look to as in Southern Africa to see if this could be useful for our context. The second innovation that I would talk about is we all understand that Southern Africans' infrastructure, railway infrastructure is a bit aged.
Yeah.
So how can we utilize whatever is left in terms of the life of this aged infrastructure without resorting to very punitive speed restrictions? And some of the research that we've done recently shows that the locomotives are dying because they're running at speeds that they were not designed to run. So you have a 5 kilometer per hour locomotive speed, and it overheats, nothing is cooling, the components get damaged. So some of the, one innovation that we have at the University of Birmingham is these IMUs that monitor the track. They monitor the track profile, and they give guidance to track maintenance in real time, so that whenever we are trying to use our monies wisely when it comes to track maintenance, we're able to go exactly where the problems is according to those inertial measurement units, and work on that profile before it becomes a critical problem. So I think that there's a lot of space for research and development to support the maximum utilization of our infrastructure. Thank you.
Other than the rail operators, are there any other partners that are in the rail space that you're also working with, not just rail operators? Are there any other names? Can you drop some names? This is the time to show off now.
We have quite a big network. So
yes.
If I start now, then I'm going to leave out a lot of them.
Okay.
But what I can say is that from the component manufacturers,
yes.
Sleepers, rails, fasteners, pads, etc., we have a lot of cooperation. And in our laboratory currently, we are testing various things, some things that I can talk about, other things that are totally new.
Yes.
So there's a lot of energy in terms of the suppliers to the rail industry, and they are always keen to do laboratory tests and to do research, and we have a lot of support from them.
Excellent.
And a lot of them are here also at the exhibition.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud to say from a Namibian point of view, we will be testing the first African hydrogen-powered locomotive very, very shortly. I think any time from September upwards. Watch this space. Thank you very Lunga, I think let me bring you in here on this point, because the next point I want to talk about is being very intentional about bringing up certain people within the rail space. And that is, of course, in this particular month, the Women's Month as well. We are focusing on women. Women are a rare breed in the railway industries, and this is something we are trying to be able to change within that. I know that I have been specifically trying to do that within my own environment, and my own colleagues have told me certain things about that is not, maybe I cannot even repeat up here, because ultimately they feel that this is a male-dominated environment. Talk to us about anything that you guys are doing in that space in terms of being intentional about bringing in women and empowering women to be also in this space, from your background, your knowing.
Sure, thank you. It's critical. In fact, generally in the logistics and supply chain sphere is male dominated. It's a fact. We have deliberately tried to bridge that with our intake. There's no set rule, there's no set law, but we deliberately ensure that we have, our marketer is female, for an example. She reaches out and talks this transport gospel to students out there. And just that, by virtue of that, changes it. I've seen from 60+%, where some classes now are majority female.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
That's good.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
The majority is female.
Yes.
Then you talk of partners with TITA, the Transport CETA. We have quite a good relationship with them as well. And part of whenever we apply, given when you apply, you have, TITA is the Transport Education and Training Authority, for those of us that don't know. They are our home CETA, Sector Education Authority and Training Authority. So when we apply, in their forms that you apply for funds, there is the element of having to address people with disability, females, employed, unemployed, etc., etc. So even with the applications we do there's a deliberate attempt to ensure that we get the balance right. Lastly, I know that this sector is very labor intensive.
Yeah.
You need to be strong in some instances despite all the machinery. And something that I've sort of looked at was, there's this thing, if you go to that skills radar that I've spoken about, one of the things there is called exoskeletons, which is something you put on that makes you stronger. and so one thing that I'd said that I will use in actually still encouraging some of the ladies to be part of the sector is technology. On the tech side, they get to know that your nails will still be intact. You'll be sitting somewhere, monitoring and doing this or that. It's not just that it is the heavy industrialized sector that you know or hear of. So that's what we're on about, sir.
Excellent. I'll ask Chimeta to come in from his point of view. Any observations before I let Hannes come through?
Yeah. So before I went into research, I was managing operations on the Nakala corridor, and I had a lot of female staff on my team, and one thing that stood out, and
this
I
is
think
in Malawi.
In Malawi, yes, Malawi, Mozambique, and a bit into Zambia, is that the railway has not necessarily been considerate of the differences in terms of even something simple like facilities.
Yeah.
So you have a 12-hour train journey.
Yeah, a schedule, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's no facilities at appropriate facilities in the middle of the journey to address bodily needs, right? And then also some of the training is not necessarily adjusted to different even people who might need other support, you know. So I think we need to highlight the positives in terms of all the women that are working in the railway right now, and say, well, there's these good stories that are across the region. And then secondly, we need to probably do a little bit more research in terms of what are the barriers to having a more balanced representation across the region in the different levels of railway transport.
Okay.
Yeah.
But abroad, when you're still looking at this, you're working with the University of Birmingham, so clearly you might have some sight of what's going on abroad. What does it look like?
I'll give an example of some research that we did, I think it was last year, with the Rail Freight Group. So they were trying to understand the design of the cab and how inclusive it is, especially for women train drivers. And so that bit of research just said, well, facilities in the middle of the journeys are not ideal. They're not, you know, like it leans towards more the male profession rather than the female profession. So we did some research with the Rail Freight Group, and that showed that, well, these are the changes that you can make in terms of your facilities. These are the changes that you can make in terms of your crew roistering to enable adjustments, reasonable adjustments for an optimum inclusive railway transport system.
And this research was in which countries or which countries?
So this was in the UK.
Oh, in the UK.
But I strongly believe that if we do similar work here, it can help us to guide some of the way that the railway operators can change some of the ways that they work in.
Excellent, thank you. Prof, I know you wanted to come in on this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I come from a civil engineering department,
Yes.
and I think even there, just like railways, it's a male-dominated field, been for many years. So, to me, what is important is role models, and what we've been doing is we've really put in a lot of effort lately at our open days and our school outreaches to have role models, female role models, in our discipline that can talk to the females as they thinking about careers, and to tell them that there's lots of opportunities. So in our department, I've quickly counted, and we have 21 academic staff, and more than a third of them are females, and they play an incredible role in motivating and challenging females to look into civil engineering, railway engineering as a possible field for the future. So in our classes lately, we've seen a dramatic increase in females. I think the last count was just below 40% of the students in civil engineering are females, and in our department we have a few of them that are really making a big difference and that are excellent role models.
I want to touch back on the point that we had started to talk about, but we didn't really get into. That is the issue of technology now entering into our space of railway technologies. You touched on it earlier on in terms of the new technology that's coming on there, but I wanted us to talk a bit about how rail operators and even the industry in itself, if I can call it that, is responding to this issue of upskilling and reskilling and enskilling. That is there anything that you're seeing in that view, in particularly coming through from the university's point of view? Shall I start off with you, Prof?
I think if we talk more specifically about what is happening in innovations and so on, then we see what we experiencing is a lot of focus on health monitoring. And I think this has to do with 24/7 monitoring of assets. And this produces lots of data. So we're moving into the field of big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. And where you had a couple of engineers in your railway company that were dealing with the data and everything, that task becomes so big that you now need data analysts. So in terms of upskilling, this is something that we've identified as a big need in having people that can work with large data, that can analyze it, that can produce trends, and that ultimately can inform the maintenance in the short and long term of railway assets. I think we have to still go a long way. I think there's a lot of things happening in railways currently that takes the attention from a lot of the operators, where I think the investment in upskilling is still lacking, but I know the universities are building capacity, and they are equipped to offer this type of upskilling and exposure to data analytics and machine learning, etc.
Chimeta?
Yeah, I think you've reminded me of a practice in South America, which is happening in that the railway operators are required to spend a certain percentage of their revenue towards research and development, and this is mandatory, which comes with certain punitive measures to make sure that there's a portion that is directed at continuing research, continuing that capacity building within their organization. I think this is something that we can take on board on our side of the railway space, to ensure that the organizations that are probably bringing in projects, or when projects are being developed, there is a component there for capacity building, not only in terms of the railway operator themselves, but their regulators, their governments, as well as going back to Sara and saying, hey, listen, we have this project that we need to, we're trying to execute. We need you to be part of this project to learn together and grow together. So I think that is an important way of making sure that we capture as much as we can.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The irony is we're sitting with, what, I don't know what our unemployment rate now is, yet there is money. This is the South African situation as it is, and it is very, very sad to observe. The CETAs in our case is the transport CETA, and in Prof's case, the MER CETA. There's funds there, but how come we're sitting with a challenge to still attract people? So I am deliberate about this one, and it is something that I saw is something that can help us breach what we are talking about, and that being cross-collaboration. I sit in logistics and transport, but my colleague sits in mechanical engineering. There is there's ample room to work together. And so now it doesn't become my CETA, his CETA. It becomes a project that can cross CETAs because the funds are there. And I want to encourage the corporates to reach out to actually have this happen, because on that blockchain that we're trying to set up, the problem is, the beauty is once it's up, it can serve bank CETA, it can serve anybody from any sector, because that's the way the world is moving toward. Then just lastly, RPL, recognition of prior learning, is another issue that I think the universities are going to be, let me not, but the universities are trying to, it's policy, it has a lot of admin, but it is another way through which we can bridge this skills divide, where a person does not, again, necessarily have to go do a full degree or anything of that sort. So that's what we are trying to get to. That's what have I missed anything? The responses, the Transnet school that is there, I'd like to see that school being out there for any and everyone who wants to be here. And that's the way the world is moving. It should not just be for, and I know they did a very good job in setting it up, and it's raised a number of people. part of what I do also relates to the ports. And so if the rail isn't right, the port won't be necessary or won't be functioning optimally, or vice versa. And so how do we get our staff members to be retrained, to add to that skill set that they have? And having these cloud-based solutions and platforms is what we are deliberate about within my department, and I think we all should. And that's my addition to that.
Yeah, I think you spoke about a very important aspect, this issue of unemployment. It's not actually unique to South Africa. It's actually a serious problem for the African continent and as a whole. I would like to say, what are the opportunities that lie for you in terms of being these institutions that work with us? When you hear about projects such as, for instance, the Trans-Kalahari Railway project, the Nakala expansion, what's going on with the Trans-Zambezi, for instance, corridor as well, that's also coming up. What do you see as opportunities as universities? Because this is what the mega projects that are coming up within the next few years. What are your opportunities that you're seeing through all of that? Chimete, do you want to start off?
Maybe not so much on the employment part, but when you have these projects going up everywhere, one thing that I'm reminded of is something called the HS2 Learning Legacy. So there is a project the High Speed 2 project in the UK, and as part of the project, there is a platform called a Learning Legacy, and the idea is, how do we learn from the execution of these projects and make sure that this learning is shared across the region. I think when these projects are coming up, it's important to make sure that we learn as much as we can from the delivery of these projects and then bring that back to the fold. I think maybe you can share on the employment part.
Anis?
Yeah, I think for me there's two things. The first one is that we've seen with big projects, it brings railways to the front. And that has an effect that we see right through from our enrollments in the field, that once people see projects are being initiated and executed, they get interested and they want to do this. They want to, I mean, we know what happened with Gautrain when we had that big boom, and our student numbers showed it. So I think that's the first thing. So that immediately draws attention, it draws people forward. But then also with big projects, I think there's a huge opportunity here also, and it starts with the designers, is really to think a little bit beyond just the catalog designs that we normally use, but to look at local conditions, to look at new products, to look at alternatives, to really design something that would be fit for purpose. And there, the universities can play a huge role to quickly be able to do accelerated testing, to investigate certain methods and components that could contribute to these mega projects.
Wonderful. Lunga?
Thank you. And this is another part of our focus as well. The issue of AI has really gone and changed things. If you look, let me just sidestep. The beauty of these projects is that there are communities that are based along these railway lines. And so the question becomes, how do we have those communities also benefit? Because the jobs come with them being employed in the building of, but what happens beyond that? And so, that being said, AI and its role becomes very important in this. I am deliberate again about my students. They need to build websites. They don't know coding, but AI is enabling them to. Apps, set up a channel. Now the person can start a YouTube platform for themselves. They can now, and this is another focus of ours, the Africa Free Trade Agreement. So many opportunities come from there. with them being taught all of these different modes and how, we trade with each other. So import and export and knowing that becomes critical. But AI can also help you overcome the very issues that SARS has with certain forms and the likes. So there's ample opportunity for a whole host of people. It's just the how, and being given the tools and knowing how to use it, that becomes important in all of these mega projects that are happening. It's possible for people to benefit beyond.
I think maybe just you had me thinking. So
That's what we want.
one of the ways I think it would be important, and I think this is something that I've seen being done within South Africa, is when these projects are brought to the front and they're affecting communities, as has been said. One of the ways that the projects can contribute to these employment is probably targeting underprivileged, unskilled people along the path of the project, basically. Bring them into these projects and give them some skills. Give them some short-term internship programs, maybe welding, maybe some railway-specific skills. And then after or during the delivery of that project, they can go away with something that they did not have before. They can have some sort of technical skill or a certificate of some sort. And then this can help them get their next opportunity. So I think you're right in terms of, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, so you had me thinking now. So now I'm just thinking about one aspect we haven't touched on, and that is rail safety.
Yes. I was coming to that, but go ahead. You can start.
Okay, all right. No, I was just thinking that there's huge opportunities here, and we're privileged to be working with Stellenbosch University on projects of rail safety and awareness, and getting to communities, getting to schools, and talking about rail safety. And I think that this is also one of the things that in future we will have to address. On the formal side, we're doing things in terms of a rail safety investigator qualification, but I think these other more informal engagements are equally important.
Yeah, fantastic. Whilst you're talking about safety, which you've already started, you can also include mental health and well-being as well. If anything that you're doing with working with the other operators or anything in the industry on that aspect as well?
I've had, this was on the private side, interaction with on-rail safety, and it was for people with disabilities. The first aspect of it had to do with communities and people just crossing where there aren't any, fences, just for them to be aware of train speeds and all of those things, but also people with disabilities in accessing and or, navigating the rail space. So, and that was in conjunction with the railway safety regulator as well, that had happened. Yeah, the mental aspect within the industry, I have not much knowledge of, but my sense is it is an important aspect. The hours spent on a journey, the industrial side of things where it happens, and so apart from, and I know we have the laws, which is our Occupational Health and Safety Act, that covers mainly safety, if you think of it, but very little on the psychological, mental side of things. And perhaps it gives the opportunity for that to be explored more in depth and be focused on. I know Japan, for instance, and its railways, your train is late, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that can have other detrimental effects on that train driver, etc. So, yes, absolutely important, and I think it's because also it's your field.
Yes.
Let's do something in that space, please. It's open.
Chimeta, did you want to say something lastly?
Actually, I was just going to say that this is the first time someone has spoken about mental health at this conference. And I think, yes, I think this is the place to actually bring that to the fore and make sure that we're not focusing just on the volumes or the bottom line, and making sure that we're people focused, our people, and making sure that we can discuss this and bring that to the front, and the railway undertakings can now build it back in their operations. Thank you.
I can tell you just in closing that I know for a fact this is a serious issue. As Executive Human Capital where I'm working, I know that there's mental health issues with a lot of our staff, long hours on the train, gone away from home far too long, and a lot of social aspects that come through with that as well. You know, behavioral things. So these are things that I think I'm just enthusing you to also consider in terms of your studies as well, to see fatigue management. Massive issue. Fatigue management is one of those things that I think we need to really also think and talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our panel discussion, but the most important thing is that we also wanted to make sure that we include you as well. I don't know whether you've got any questions that you also want to raise to our esteemed panel here. Yes, sir. Please, do we have a roving mic? Thanks, Lunga. Just give him. Let's give that one to the crowd.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Webster, thank you. Yeah, I'm from Stellenbosch University, Peter Conradi, and me and Prof. Hannes know each other for many years since.
Wonderful. You should have been up here. What are you doing down there?
They didn't want me there.
Okay.
But my question is that I think the rail industry is not a sexy industry,
Yeah.
I might call that. So
Exactly.
isn't the responsibility on the industry to make it a more sexy industry so students will choose it as a career? I remember last year at Africa Rail, there was a comment, why don't we train rail engineers? So the question is there a demand? Our students go into industry, they don't have a job, they've got rail experience, we train them up, we give them the exposure, we give them the training, everything, but there's not the uptake. They've got bursaries from the rail operators, I will call them the 4 elephants, we know who they are, but then they are jobless. So I think there's also an appeal to the operators to say, guys, come out and work with us.
Yes.
Put the demand out there. We
Yes.
are ready. Like Hannes, like you said, we are ready to train people up.
Yeah.
We know how to do that. We've been in the industry. And from a university point of view, there are so many people that has rail experience that sit in a corner, just want to contribute.
Yeah.
And we need to use them while they're still there. I mean, the population is getting older, the expertise is getting older, they're getting out of there, and I think the operators must just renew their workforce with young, intelligent students. I don't know if you know, but if you look at the students that we deliver now than 10 years ago or when we studied, it's
Yeah.
a different animal.
Yes.
They are clever,
Yes.
not because of
Smarter than us.
They are smarter, and they know how to
Yeah.
to use technology to
Yeah.
solve problems. Now, that's just my comment about the operators. I think must play ball also.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your contribution. Let's just leave it for the crowd. Anybody else wants to weigh in? Can also comment. Doesn't have to be a question.
Thanks very much. Name is Vuma Ngobo, Chief of Staff at PRASA. Funny enough, one of the gentlemen sitting there, Mr. Lunga Jacobs, was actually my research supervisor over 10 years ago. So,
Big round of
quite
applause,
interesting,
please. So we are not only just talking skills, we are actually doing it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So I've just got one of two questions. The first one is, how do you start to manage succession or the transfer of skills in the rail industry? Because
Big
what
issue.
you find is that you're losing a lot of skills, and we've
Yeah.
seen this many times, be it with Eskom or be it with Transnet and PRASA. We always say that, okay, we're losing skills. We need to get new skills into the industry. Or you even go as far back as calling back retired people to come and contribute in the
Yes.
industry because the skills don't exist. So how do you manage that succession and transfer of skills, being the first question? The second one is more speaking about how do you also have a paradigm shift in how we speak about logistics or rail. Now, before joining passenger rail, I was actually in the mining industry for 8 years. And when talking about logistics, we tend to talk about logistics from an operational point of view, whereas we actually should be talking about it from a strategic point of view. So, for example, we've got critical minerals in the Northern Cape. We've got Sasol doing projects to build a new port, to build a facility to produce hydrogen. Then you've also got a new port being built within that area. Should we not be saying, how do we work better as government departments, for example, to say, okay, the next commodity boom is going to be in this sector. These are the commodities we're going to be mining. How do we then build the supporting rail infrastructure from a strategic perspective to ensure we're able to facilitate those exports? So more than anything, it's shifting the mindset from an operational one, but to think about logistics from a strategic one as well. And I think an element of education, does play a big role there. Thank you.
One last one before we close off. Is there any other question, contribution? No? No, thank you. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm Pisman Sopazi. I'm looking at the panelists there.
Yes.
And when they started speaking, they got me thinking about why should we be talking about skills and not talking also about developing a curriculum for railway engineering that would take a person from the lowest level to the highest level, and maybe then they can collaborate between South Africa and the UK, and so we can have a fully fledged railway engineering degree.
Gentlemen, you've heard the contributions. I am only a rail operator. I'm not as smart as you. Maybe you can answer all of those questions.
I thought you were going to answer the first one.
No, go
You
ahead.
have a lot of experience.
Go ahead.
I think I can maybe respond to the last one, the last question by Dr. Pisman. I think yes. The idea is that we need to collaborate, and that's what we're trying to do with the University of Pretoria. And now I've got a new friend, so we collaborate and try to strategically approach this skills gap.
Yeah.
And with Sara, try to standardize the approach, and then hopefully produce some programs that can do exactly what has been said, to provide a railway engineering and railway-specific training across the region. Yeah.
Okay, Hannes?
I'll try and comment on the skill succession question. This is very important, and what we've been doing is building a network of specialists in the field, and a lot of them are retired engineers from the profession. And what we've seen is that because of our programs and the fact that that we have this network and this bank of knowledge, we've been able to transfer skills to a new generation of railway engineers that didn't have all the experience, and some of them are now lecturers in our programs. So we've seen an amazing succession where, for instance, let's take wheel rail interaction. We've lost a lot of expertise to other countries and also just to people retiring. But there's a new generation of wheel rail experts in Transnet that have come through a number of our programs and other exposure also, that are now transferring those skills in the companies. And I think that's one of the ways of doing it.
Thanks. Lunga, lastly?
Yeah. A lot around the legacy, around the skills and succession, Vuma, has to do with legacy, has to do with the culture, organizational culture. It becomes, we have our business school, for an example. So executive programs can be tailor-made for Stellenbosch has one too, at the business school. You literally can have them sort you out with exactly what you need for your organization to take them through the turbulent times, right through to people succeeding others. And that's what's needed. The politics of it is what we'd rather stay out of, because it is a key feature in there. I am 100% with you in that all those brains that leave shouldn't be leaving and should be involved in one big way in the organization. Just lastly, one of our legs that our economy stands on is the mining industry, which feeds the bulk of our rail. And the Logistics Crisis Committee is one body that I've tried to work with through someone that is in there and add my 2 cents. I saw the road guys having a strong voice in there, funny enough. And we, as the rail people, must also begin to have some say strong in that, because, again, I say that ship won't move if the train cable is stolen, or if anything is wrong on the line. So that's what I'd say to that. And again, the challenge is open for us to collaborate across universities, across companies, and us as colleagues here too. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think I can also state, just from an industry knowledge point of view, I understand where you're coming from when you speak about the issue of knowledge transfer and succession planning within the organization. I can tell you, as an HR expert in my own field, you have to be very intentional in an organization for that to happen. To put forward a policy, to just write down a document to say this is how it's going to happen, it doesn't happen. It won't happen. From my experience, it is, I'm a psychologist by profession, by the way, before I joined HR. So HR is just what pays the bills, but I'm a psychologist. What I know about the human person is that the thing that they do is to try and preserve themselves. So when they get in that organization, they want to be as indispensable as is possible. So they want to stay there as much as is possible, including after the fact, including the fact that they need to retire at a certain point. They don't want to retire. They don't want to go home. They don't want to leave. They want to be called back. They want to continue being a consultant or whatever it is, perhaps being paid even at a higher rate. This is my experience. I'm talking from experience now. So you have to be very intentional about it. When you see this, so-and-so is going to retire within 2, 3, 4 years. So you go to get 2, 3, 4 youngsters and put them around them and say, listen, this is the program that I want to see each and every single month, and I'm going to be looking at it and asking questions. So you have to be very, very intentional and follow through, in particular in those critical skills. Otherwise, it simply won't happen. With those few words, gentlemen, I please give a big round of applause to the panel. I promised them that they were going to have a blast in terms of having this. I'm sure that it's been a wonderful experience. I'm hoping that you've learned a thing or two as well. Feel free to talk to each of us wherever it is that you see us, and then we can be able to talk and take this conversation also further on. I know that next year it's also on the agenda, so I'm looking forward to hearing some more things, some more innovative ideas. Thank you once again. Another big round of applause for the colleagues, for the panel. Thank you very much.